When President Barack Obama took office, he was given the worst economic recession since the Great Depression. The United States was losing 800,000 jobs per month, and the unemployment rate was skyrocketing. Since then, 5.2 million private sector jobs have been created, and we have had 31 consecutive months of economic growth. President Obama also worked to save the 1 million jobs in the auto industry. Despite this, President Obama has been criticized that he has failed us and that he hasn't done enough. However, Obama claims that he isn't finished. He plans to bring more jobs to the United States by eliminating tax breaks for companies that ship overseas, and therefore creating the incentive to bring home domestic business. Obama believes that we can't simply cut our way to prosperity. He claims that he has a balanced budget of spending cuts and revenue to reduce the deficit by $4 trillion over the next decade. He wants to cut taxes for the middle class so America's economy can thrive from the middle class and beyond. However, both Obama and Governor Romney believe in education and want to provide better schooling for the future of America. In addition to the next generation's education, Obama is also thinking about our planet's future. Using his all-of-the-above plan, Obama wants to reduce dependence on foreign oil and use other ways of creating energy. Instead of depending on foreign oil, Obama plans to use domestic oil, nuclear power, natural gases, biofuels, clean coal technology, in addition to a large emphasis on solar and wind power. Electricity generated from these two methods has doubled since President Barack Obama took office. His energy plan will create more green jobs at home, in addition to saving Americans money at the pump. On the topic of foreign policy, President Obama has ended the war in Iraq and plans to end the war in Afghanistan by 2014. Obama has consistently worked to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons in Iran and has strengthened alliances with Israel, NATO, and partners in Asia and Latin America. Unlike Romney, Obama has experience with international policy. He wasn't the one who insulted the British right before the Olympics. Despite Romney's lack of experience in dealing with international affairs, both candidates agree that a firmer stance needs to be taken regarding Iran's nuclear weaponry. Also, under Obama's leadership, Osama bin Laden was assassinated. Regarding social issues, President Barack Obama believes in equal rights and opportunities for all. He was the first sitting president to publicly announce his support for same-sex marriage and believes that civil unions are unfair. Obama voted to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell, endorsed the Respect for Marriage Act, and signed the Matthew Shepard Act. This act was created in response to the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd murders. The measure expanded the United States federal hate crime law to include crimes motivated by a victim's gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, or any disability. Obama also extended hospital visitation and medical decision-making rights to LGBT couples. On the other hand, Mitt Romney is anti-gay marriage and wants to amend the Constitution to define marriage as between a man and a woman only. Paul Ryan, Romney's running mate, also voted against repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell, in addition to voting to ban same-sex couples from adopting children. Obama also signed the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act to help women fight against pay discrimination. In 2010, full-time female workers made only 77 cents for every dollar earned by their male counterparts, according to the Institute for Women's Policy Research. When asked, Romney has refused to give his opinion on the subject. Obama also wants to protect women's rights of choice and thinks abortion should remain a legal option. He believes that healthcare are choices for the women to make themselves, not politicians. Obama fought against Republican attempts to defund Planned Parenthood, which would mean defunding healthcare services that American women depend on across the nation, such as birth control and breast and cervical cancer screenings. Romney believes that Roe v. Wade, which legalized abortions in the United States, should be overturned. He will also end all federal funding of Planned Parenthood if he is elected. This would be taking away many women's reproductive liberties, some of which have been fought for since the early 1900s. Paul Ryan once stated that he believes abortion should be illegal, even in cases of rape and incest. The Romney campaign's views regarding women's rights have been altered recently so that they resonate more with public opinion, but both Romney and Ryan have an extremely conservative track record concerning women's rights and health issues. Thank you.
Alrighty, so I'm Aaron Wyman. I'm a 10th grader, as Brendan said, and I'm going to be presenting Governor Romney's platform as he runs for president. So let's start off with taxes. Why not? Okay. He, like Obama, wants to continue to push tax cuts, but he wants to throw in a little twist. He wants to give a 20% reduction to all income earners, no matter what your level is. So if you are a low-income earner, he wants to drop you from 10% down to 8%. Okay. All right. And he wants to drop you, if you're an upper income earner, from a 35% tax rate to a 28% tax rate. And this would support the trickle-down economy that we are all hoping for, which, for more clarity, is if the upper income earners and the businesses and corporations that we have today, if they were taxed less, they would be able to hire more people, employ more people, spreading the wealth to all the levels, so that way they can take the money that they've earned and put it back into the economy, boosting it back onto its feet again. He wants to cap the GDP, which is the gross domestic product, at a 20% rate, which is 4% lower than the Obama administration over the last 2 years. And lastly, Governor Romney would like to cut spending to programs that do not benefit the country as a whole, and that never will benefit the country as a whole. So he wants to keep funding for Social Security, and wants to keep funding for some of these programs, whereas he wants to cut funding for Planned Parenthood and things like this. All right. So, as for education, he wants to give education back to the states and to the parents and the kids that are learning in those schools. He wants there to be good teachers in the nation's schools, and so he would invest in programs to further train the teachers so that way they can provide the best education possible for the country's youth. Okay. He also believes in a voucher program for students who are trapped in schools that are not right for the student, whether they're too slow or they're too fast, or they're not good for the student. He wants to give them the money that would have been spent on their local public schools. He would like to give it back to them so they can have choice to go either to a private school or a Catholic school or something along those lines. Okay. As for energy, he is all for green energy. There is some misconception, but he's pro-green energy, as long as we as a nation pursue it in a sensible way, not investing millions and billions of dollars in it just to have it collapse like in Solyndra. He also strongly believes in becoming energy independent, like Barack Obama, through drilling, and he would like to do this through drilling into new oil fields and continuing to mine for coal, so that we can attempt to lower and completely move away from our dependency on the Middle East in its current unreliable-esque state. That way we are more certain, our future is more certain with regards to energy, and we can protect our market value. All right. Okay. Mitt Romney also believes that we must cap our greenhouse gas emissions, but we must not do it, and we must not jeopardize our nation's stability through radical policies, which would be completely banning coal and nuclear power. On the topic of war and foreign policy, Romney wants to make it clear to the world what America's ideals are. He also believes in what Abraham Lincoln once said, which is, America is the last best hope of this earth. And that means we must defend our ideals and protect our people as a country. So if people are threatening our way of life, our core ideals, then we must stand up for what we believe, and we must not be passive. And now with regards to abortion and gay rights and that type of stuff, Mitt Romney believes that this is not a federal issue. He believes it must be handled on the state level. So he thinks it falls under the 10th Amendment, which is giving these issues back to the states. And then back on the topic of abortion, he believes that spending for organizations like Planned Parenthood, which funds abortions for people who can't earn it, must be cut. Because and as Lauren said, People say that he's against gay rights and he's against abortion, and that is mainly because he is a man of faith, and his faith states clearly that marriage is between a man and a woman. You know, life starts at contraception and whatnot. So, well, thank you for listening.